let me go ahead and introduce you to our HOS education speaker from today, Julia Contaldo. She is here. Yeah, you can clap now and then you can clap again. She founded WEFAS Architecture in 2019 and a YouTube channel, WELLROOM, in 2023. Before starting her firm, Julia worked at two of the world's most renowned architectural firms, HOK, I hope I'm saying that right, and SOM. No, that's not right. She'll say it right later. Currently, WEFAS provide architectural services to public agencies such as Los Angeles World Airports, LAX, and LA Metro. WELLROOM is a research project that applies the latest innovations in longevity and anti-aging to building design. That's what she's going to talk to us today. So please help me welcome Julia to the stage.
Thank you very much. I'm Julia Contaldo, and hello. Yes. Okay. I'm Julia Contaldo. I've been architect for 30 years in my. Okay. Test. Yes. No. It's good. Louder. It's good. Hello. Oh, perfect. Okay. So hello everyone. I'm Julia Contaldo. I'm an architect. I've been an architect 30 years of my life. I've been licensed in California for 17, mostly working on a big corporate project. My specialty is aviation and transportation. Project you might know I worked on in Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, automated people mover. I was an architect on Terminal 4 and also Terminal 2 stations. And I've done a lot of other projects. And also, I want to share something personal about me. I've always been borderline diabetic. I was diagnosed at the age of 9, and all my life was a struggle. I lose weight, I gain weight, I lose weight all the time. But I believe it brought something good to my life because about 20 years ago, I went for the first time to a place called Optimum Health Institute of San Diego. And I did like 3 weeks program there, and I learned a lot. And I was so excited talking to people who, cured from stage 4 cancer by doing fasting. And I went back to the office and started telling people, hey, do you know about this? And everybody said, English is your first foreign language. You misunderstood something. That is just not possible. You don't know what you're talking about. And this was going on for like 5, 10, 15 years. And I assumed that would be in my life. And all of a sudden, autophagy came in, right? And all these new concepts that, hey, it is true, it is scientifically proven now, there's a term for it, and it's a thing, it's not just talking. And I felt, you know what, there's something to it. The health and wellness and the changes we're gonna see in our lifespan, it's so important. And I wanna be part of the movement. I really want to contribute the way I can. And because I'm an architect, I'm going to do research in the area of health and wellness, but in architecture. And I also decided to quit my corporate job because it was just too many years of that, and I want to change. And start my own architectural firm specializing in health and wellness. And WEFAS stands for Water, Earth, Fire, Airspace Architecture. And I'm still consulting to the corporate firms and to government projects, but also today I will share with you, so my presentation consists of 2 presentations. First, I will tell you where the industry of design, construction, and real estate stands in terms of wellness right now. Just, it is what it is. It might be helpful for you to know. And the second part is my personal research, my personal take on that, and also what's missing and what can be done and what we can do to improve it. So let's start introducing WELL. WELL is a building rating that was designed by International WELL Building Institute. This is not the first building rating that's available. The first and most well-known is LEED. It stands for Leadership Energy Environmental Design. It was organized by and developed by the United States Green Building Council. It started about 30 years ago, and at this point, it's pretty well known. It's incorporated in a lot of building codes. For example, in California, we have called Cal Green. It's a part of the code. It's mandatory requirements that a lot of them taken from the certification. And well is very similar. So when developed LEAP, they say, okay, there is a global warming, right? And we have a problem on the planet. And how we can reduce the global warming? And we know there are three main contributors. The manufacturing gives 1/3 of it. The transportation is 1/3. The building is 1/3. So let's reduce impact on the building and try to build them net zero, neutral, so they don't give any negative impact. And from the information we have about the planet, we're boiling it down to the building, and it's a series of like guidelines how to do it. So when ironically, then about 10 years ago, then they decided to develop WELL, they took the similar approach. They took world statistics of how world population gets sick, and from this number, they boil it down to the building. They didn't really look on individuals inside the building. They only were directed by statistics for the country, for the world, you know. So it's a decent system. It originally was designed very similar way. You get different flags, depends how many things you apply to your building, silver, gold, platinum, and then you can put it in front of your building. So now I'm gonna go a little bit into details what it is. And so you can see it's been around almost like 10 years, but WELL got really a lot of interest during pandemic because people were staying home and they were like so concerned for health and like, hey, is my house giving you any negative effects? Or if I go back to the office, is it healthy? Everybody wanted to know. So WELL became much more, as a certification to the building, to the space, become much more popular. And so WELL is a strategy of a library of strategies that you can apply to your space. And they group it in different parameters, obviously water, earth, light, air. And I'm gonna go quickly through the ones that to me most interesting. First one is air. Obviously you cannot smoke, you have to provide cleaning protocol. Two of the things that I was really excited to learn about. One, you know how when we use different like cleaning products, they can really affect negatively our immunity because we're killing the bacteria, but we're also killing the bacteria in our bodies and possible to have side effects like autoimmune disease. So there's technology research right now happening how to make like, let's say it's a solid surface, but it has porous material and there are friendly bacteria embedded in it and populated. So then you clean the surface, the bacteria from inside can come back and repopulate. So it's not just a dead space for the pathogens to come in. It constantly has this ecosystem on the surface. Another very interesting technology. Years ago, I was an architect on Cedars-Sinai Hospital and Beverly Hills, and we were working on surgical rooms. And the requirement was very interesting. You're supposed to not put anything on the floor because all the dust by gravity falls on the floor. It's impossible to clean if you have like chairs and things standing. So what they wanted to have at the surgical room, to have all the equipment hang from the ceiling and from the walls, right? And you just roll in and out the hospital bed, and you can clean it without extensive use of cleaning products because it's just easy to swipe. But this can apply to any space, office, home, so more items you can attach to the walls and less things you have standing on the floor, easier to clean the space. And this is very easy applicable strategy, especially if you're building new, so you have to, in advance, make your ceilings very strong so they can carry a lot of weight, like let's say closet spaces or bathrooms. This is very effective. Nourishment is my other favorite. In your office or office building, you are not allowed to advertise McDonald's or any kind of junk food. And about 2 years ago, I went to WELL conference and I talked to a lady who is a client representative for large hospital. And she said, our hospital would really wanted to do well and we considered to be well, but we decided not to do WELL certification by only one reason. We have a big McDonald's downstairs and everybody loves it. So if we eliminate and put something healthy, we're gonna lose half of the traffic, people won't come to our hospital because they only come because of McDonald's downstairs. That's not a joke. And so one of my firms I used to work for, Skid Mirror SOM, they also decided to do well certification, and it was very difficult because they provided free diet Coke or soda, Sprite, in the refrigerator for all employees. And to get a point, we were supposed to eliminate it and only provide free waters, or even in the vending machines, only water. And the compromise was to make buy very small Coca-Cola. So that's what we did. But I think this is good that it's mandatory, and some people do eliminate junk food and advertising for it. Another one is light. Of course, Arcadian light design, light views required, a lot of positive things about the light in this certification. Fitness. We all know if you live in a house with the stairs, you have to go up and down. You would just be very healthy because you must exercise. So designing the space where you have the need to exercise every day, or having workstations where you don't only sitting, because sitting is the new smoking, as we say now. So this is also incorporated. And in terms of comfort, I really like this one because we all are different, everybody different, and understanding of the comfort is not the same for everyone, right? Some people, they like to be in a quiet space, some people like background noise, some people like warmer, hotter. So the idea is you have overall comfort for the space, but individuals should be able to control inside the office and inside the house. And there are a lot of strategies listed there on how to achieve this. And mind, of course, the beautiful things, artwork, greenery, or running water also incorporated. So originally, as I was saying, WELL just copied the lead, and they had one certification called WELL certification. It was mostly designed for capital improvements or new construction. After COVID, they decided to open up and allow other businesses and other companies to also become WELL and benefit from it. So they came up with WELL performance rated. This rating is for existing space, any space, and it's mostly focusing on testing water, air, acoustics, light, making sure nothing is harming you. And any space, any office space, big or small, can get WELL performance rated. It's much cheaper, much easier to get, but you would kind of know more about your space. Like if somebody has a practice, I don't know, medical professionals or does massage, small office can get that, as well as big office. This space can get certification. It's done for anyone. It was designed for everyone coming back to the office from COVID, making sure it does no harm. And then the next one, WELL residential, it's a pilot program. It's not officially rolled out yet, but possible to enroll. This includes like kitchen design, and what do you need to sleeping space, and also bathrooms, everything that's inside the residential. And again, it can be a house, apartment, or apartment complex. And examples, of course, for WELL certified building, my favorite is Harvey Milk Terminal in San Francisco Airport, because aviation is my passion. It got a WELL Platinum certified. And the first WELL residential, there is a house in Florida, it's on this photo, that got certified as residential. And so if you do choose to go with WELL certification, there are two options: the list of parameters for each of the project, and detail isn't like Excel spreadsheet, and detailed explanation, like 2-3 pages for each of them, is available free to everyone. You don't have to even deal with WELL to apply it. You can just, download, spend a couple days reading through this, and pick and choose if you want to change anything within your environment. But if you choose to go with formal certification, of course, you would have to reach out to the institute and do the paperwork showing them how you meet every requirement. But at the end, you have a plug. You can put it next to your door. So this is the formal WELL. rating, and the way I see it, it's like food pyramid, FDA-approved food pyramid. It's important that it exists. It's important that we have it, and it starts conversation within communities, right? And then different people come up with other pyramids that's kind of contradicted or controversial, and we start discussion. So what I like about WELL, two things. First, that it exists, and of course, and that it's available for everyone, pretty easy to use. What I don't like about it, of course, number one, is that it's a copy of LEAD, and it should be more custom designed towards health and wellness. The second thing, I really think it's wrong that it's looking at the population at large, and it doesn't really give you any positive feedback. The only feedback they collect from occupants is self-reporting. And I think in the modern time and age, when you can go on Amazon and buy tons of home tests and test yourself, it should be some parameters where they promise, okay, if you're in this office building, if you in this house, those are parameters you would improve, and you have before and after test, right? You can't just say, hey, tell me how you feel, and that's all. Like, they should do better than that, I think. And of course, the most important is hallmarks of aging or preventing of aging is just not there. And there is no, I don't see path for quick implementation of any of the latest innovations in the health and wellness world. And now I want to share some of my personal thoughts. We know, we talk a lot here about disease of aging, but I'm suggesting now to step back for a second and compare them to infectious disease, right? And let's pick one infectious disease that we know we just battled recently. It's COVID-19, and compare it, for example, to breast cancer. And please don't hold me responsible to the numbers, but I just did a quick Google search with AI to see how much money we spent on each of them, and specifically how much money we spent on prevention versus cure, each of them. And that's what I found out. Apparently, federal government spent 1.4% of money on curing COVID and 98.6% on preventing COVID. Somehow, we found the money to prevent COVID, and we felt that it's so important to prevent this infectious disease, so we're going to spend this money. And when we talk about breast cancer or any other disease, we spend, I mean, of course, we do some prevention and some cure, but the percentage is ridiculous. The percentage is 11% is spent on prevention and 89% spent on the cure. And I want to ask you, who made this decision? I want somebody come here and tell me, I think this is a correct ratio because. How? Like, this money for COVID, the public money, the government money. Why can't we do it there? It's not the corporations. It's not the biopharma. We can do it for COVID. Why can't we do it for other things? What is the issue? Another example, I don't have slide for it, but I think it's another good example to illustrate. Let's say, you know, Helicobacter is a bacteria that damages your stomach, right? And gives you ulcers. And there was a Nobel Prize a few years ago for invention of this. And there is another invention of telomeres, right? Also, Nobel Prize was given for invention, two inventions, relatively two recent inventions. If you try to go to your medical doctor and tell him that you have a stomach ache and you want to check yourself for Helicobacter, make sure you don't have it. It will give it to you, and it will be covered by insurance. And if they found a Helicobacter, you would get your medications, you would get rid of it. It's also going to be covered by your insurance. And you can try and say, hey, I'm feeling my telomeres getting too short. Can you please What is the difference? Why? I think the only difference is that the Helicobacter belongs to the group on infectious disease, and telomeres belong to the group of disease of aging. There is no other reason, right? Our Lord Jesus was born 2,500 years ago and 19 days, right? That's when he was born. I did a quick research on when was the first pandemic. That was the first big event of infectious disease happening, recorded in recorded history. Of course, Greeks recorded. The Greeks who invented democracy, the Greeks who built the Parthenon, they also recorded the first pandemic. It was called Athenian plague. We don't know exactly what it was, but it killed 25% of the population. In modern world would be out of 8 billion people, 2 billion people would have died. And of course, at that time, they were very concerned. So that's how long our culture thinking about infectious disease. That's how long we have been processing it in our brain. 430 years before Christ. We were thinking in the oh my God, what do we do with this? How do we solve this problem, right? So when we were born, the solution was there. We didn't invent it. We didn't come up with it. It came to us on silver platter, right? Guys, you need to do isolation and you need to do vaccination, and that is your solution, right? That is the only difference. Let's look again into infectious disease, compare them to disease of aging. If we talk about infectious disease, that's what everybody knows. Number one, it's much easier to prevent than to cure. The matter of fact, if you think about it, a lot of infectious disease we don't have cure today. We don't. And we don't care because nobody gets sick because we prevent them all. And we're completely comfortable living with that idea, right? No, it doesn't bother anyone. Number two, it's solved on the cellular level. When I go to the doctor, he's not telling me, no, let's wait until the helicobacter damages your stomach so you have a stomach cancer when I start curing it. Here's your pill now, here's your whatever, antibiotics, cure it, right? And infectious disease, the cells, they're not even they're outside of our body, but they call the disease and we can cure them, or prevent them, right? Also, the prevention of infectious disease, it comes in two parts. One part is therapies that doctor provides, and the second part is what hygiene is what we do every day. Think about that you would expect to be protected from COVID, but we don't have a sewer, we don't have running water, we don't wash our hands. It's impossible. It's impossible to live in a city, right? When you don't have these things. So it's very important. Hygiene is as important as therapies. And the question would be, okay, what kind of therapies, what kind of hygiene, what's the guidelines? And of course, every other presentation you see would have a hallmarks of aging. So my question is only, why is it called not disease of aging, but the hallmarks of aging? Is hallmark is a disease? Like, why is it even in discussion, right? But my problem with the hallmarks of aging is that it's kind of hard. Again, if I go to my friends architects or someone else, like, hey, have you heard of the hallmarks of aging? Like, what is it? How can you, it's 11, now it's 13, 15, I think it's a problem because it's very hard to communicate to people who are not in on this. And we need something that's very easy, that I can explain to someone in 90 seconds on my elevator pitch, right? That's why I first heard about Sandra Kaufman on Red Fest in 2019 that she was presenting her book. I read her book and I fell in love with it. Mostly because as an architect, you've seen I go always through these parameters and ratings, and that's how in my industry people speak. And I was like, okay, this is all good, but how I need organization, I need some structure, right? And I think that that her system, Kaufman protocol, actually much better. And I will try to sell you on it right now in 90 seconds, and you tell me if that works or not. So your cell is like your cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone. You guys know how it works, right? There are 7 parameters in it: information, energy, messaging, quality control, security, individual phone, and waste management. Only 7, that's it. And all hallmarks of aging fall into one of these categories. Information is your DNA, right? And in the phone, it's your operating system. And you can test for it. Like there is epigenetic test and telomere test. And you can actually try to do whatever therapies you do and test before and after and see for yourself if you get better, right? Second one is energy, is when you charge your phone. It's your mitochondria inside your cell, right? The third one is messaging. Hey, let's go for coffee. Can I meet you tomorrow, right? And in our body, what is the messaging? I can't sleep, I'm too nervous, or I'm too, or I'm hungry all the time, or I'm gaining weight. Something wrong with my body, giving my brain the wrong message, right? Those are the messengers. And so quality control is when your app doesn't work, like it's supposed to, but it's frozen. And in our body, of course, it's DNA repair. There are tests right now, liquid biopsy test. I actually had an interview with Sandra Kaufman. We just published it on my YouTube just 2 days ago. And talking specifically, I ask you so many questions about each parameter and how can you test, how can you see if I'm progressing with supplements or anything on that parameters. And yeah, so security is your, of your phone is your case, right? Security. It's your immunity, it's your inflammation. Sorry, security is your inflammation test, and individual cells is when it's like a cell senescence for the phone. If your phone is 5-7 years old, you return it, you get a new one. It's too much to repair, just get rid of it. And when you have too many photos, you cannot take a new one. You have to clean your phone. It's waste management. You need to, right? It's simple. I can explain it to anyone who is not in the industry. And all these 7 systems need to be added to the systems and become groups of 7 diseases. Let's look at our biggest investment of our life is our house, right? And the best house to buy is 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Why? I don't know, but that's the thing. If you go to the bank, they give you the best interest rate on 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Don't ask. But so in that house, look how much we invest into infectious disease. Because your kitchen with your sink and a refrigerator and your stove and one bathroom with a toilet and a sink and another bathroom, all this investment we do in our life to prevent infectious disease, right? And what I'm predicting again is that there will be another room, it's called WELLROOM. And that will be the room where you go to prevent disease of aging. And I don't know what in this room, and for everyone will be different. For people different age will be different. Maybe for some it's a meditation room. Maybe for some it's a sex room. Maybe for somebody it's a room to put your elliptical machine and exercise. Or for somebody it will be to put your red light therapy and your vibration platform and all the things you want to do every day at home, right? But how to combine it? So I'm saying that 7 parameters that Sandra proposes in her protocol for supplements and vitamins, they can also be applied to design a WELLROOM or to design your other therapies or to plan your exercise and your diet. Everything can be common denominator on the 7 parameters. People can understand and relate so they don't get lost and confused with all this information out there about health and wellness. And this is just an example how can be combined in the space. I was just experimenting, but so going back to WELL, currently WELL is using this 11 of body systems to organize all these parameters, and we cannot blame them because when they started 10 years ago, unfortunately, even hallmarks of aging were known, they were not widely accepted. So they took what they have and roll with it, right? And I believe that that's not good enough because by the time your organ systems deteriorated, it's too late, right? You need to look at the cellular level, and for that, we need to establish 7 parameters and help other industries like design, construction, and real estate. Or, for example, we were just in consumer electronics show last week in Las Vegas. It's like 200,000 people, huge show. But to develop this consumer electronics or consumer goods or household chemicals, they need the parameters to do that with, right? And it's not going to be one therapy that extends our life for 20, 30 years, and we're just going to sit and wait it's come. We don't even know if it's something we need to add to extend our life, or it's something we need to remove from our environment that's killing us, right? Because imagine we live next to a nuclear plant, right? And it's constantly damaging our DNA. Nothing else helps, right? So we need move in both directions. We need to test everything and compare it apple to apples. So, so to finish, I want to, I was kind of like preparing for the presentation. This just came to me. So I want to rephrase one of the most influential people of 20th century, Steve Jobs. He was, of course, talking about iPhone and computer, and he said that on a design conference in 1983. He said, we as a modern society, we constantly take. We don't contribute anything, right? The clothes we wear, we didn't make. We didn't discover. The food we eat, we didn't make. We didn't come up with the recipes. Right? The language we speak was developed by other people before us, lived way before us. The mathematics, the science, the basic of everything, we just take and take. But we have a unique opportunity to put something back into the pool of human experience. And when he said it first, people thought he's crazy, but he was able to do it in his lifetime, right? And he gave us these beautiful iPhones that we can always go and Google and find information. And we should be able to also do that and bring these parameters back to the public so everybody can live longer and be healthier. So with my partner, we started a YouTube channel called WELLROOM 2 years ago. We did RedFest 2023 and 24, talked to everyone on the floor, all the product design. We also did some other conferences, A4M, UCLA HealthSpan. We just haven't published yet the consumer electronics, focusing on digital health and smart homes. And also, we just published Sandra Kaufman interview talking specifically about how to test for each of the parameters and a lot of other information. Please subscribe. Thank you. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yes, thank you so much, Julia. That was, yeah, that was a fantastic presentation. Yeah, I appreciate it. So do we have any questions here? Yes, and then for those of you that are online, you can also send in your questions. We'd love to get those. Go ahead, Kim.
Thank you so much. This was really exciting for me because I am the country's first certified metaphysical residential real estate agent. So when you're stepping into but very different. So a couple of comments. I love the part that you're expanding this to the commercial space. What we know that the foundation is so vital in order for us to transform the body, the mind, the soul. We have to have the right foundation. Even if we don't have any of the other technologies in which you speak, it starts with the foundation because we know that the healing is also within. So one of my questions to you would be, where do you bring in the spiritual psychology, which is also part of this movement? Because I know when I work with families, that's part of it, tapping into their energy, helping individuals and families step out of their hardship and suffering into a new chapter. Maybe if you came up with something a little more simple, and I was thinking maybe you are the one who brings industry and commercial into a reset so all of their employees have longevity and live forever.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah. Yeah, I dropped it. There is one of the research projects I started is how people socialize, because I think finding your tribe and finding your people is very important. And we know from Blue Zone's research that people need to spend like 4 to 6 hours a day socializing with people close to them, and we're definitely missing that. And so my question as an architect, okay, but is it group of 2, group of 5, group of 100? What's the best space? How to organize a space to have that? So I'm working on that research as well. I think it's very important. Yes, thanks for asking. Yes, absolutely. Let's collab.
I have a question for you, Julia. So we've seen you've done this like the commercials, and you talked about the say somebody cannot like build a new home or like redo their home. Where do you suggest somebody can maybe start with some changes that will be impactful and leading towards this more like
Right.
well and lead certification?
I think well performance rating, the middle rating of the three is the one. So basically, it's not expecting that you would do any change to your space, but you could just go through the requirements and read each of them and see which ones apply, or also what kind of testing well recommends to do, and don't have to do all the testing, can just pick and choose which one you concern for, like a mold or maybe volatile organic compounds or quality of water, and just start there. Or maybe there are easy, simple, you can rearrange furniture maybe in a home, and that will also would do something, or just have some ideas of how to rearrange your space. And again, the listings, the Excel spreadsheets, they're free to download, so anyone can just spend a few hours thinking about it and picking and choosing what to do. You don't have to engage with the institute to actually do anything.
That's fantastic. I mean, we know the impact of epigenetics, and if you think about the amount of time that you spend in your home
Right.
and how that's affecting your gene expression, that's a huge thing to consider. I know at home we've tried to get rid of as much toxic. We've changed our water filters. We've done everything we can, change out the lighting and the fabrics and different things around the house to be able to make it not helpful. Yeah, make it a little more complementary. Raquel?
Thank you, thank you. Yes, me as a real estate agent as well, before I did industrial designer, I know a little more about the houses, the construction as well. And my question is, because you as a architect, every 10 years, come new stuff for the house. Do you work more, I know, have the feng shui and have the greenhouse, and they have a certified for greenhouse too. You work in, I know you say more residential and more commercial and residential. You have more specific in greenhouse, like especially for the people going in the house be living more longer.
Right.
You understand my questions? Because have these specific greenhouses, specific, and you as an architect, you bring something to these new constructions?
Well, I started, I actually took a class on Feng Shui with UCLA, but because I feel, like astrology, I don't think it's scientific, but it was the first step to astronomy, right? It was an important step because people just, something they didn't understand, they filled in the blanks. Later on, they uncovered things, but the interest to the sky and the direction, I think, is very important. So, and Feng Shui, it's actually based on astrology in a lot of ways, and I see it the same way. So there are very reasonable things there. For example, Feng Shui said it's not good if you have half house a lot of light and half house very dark because the energy is wrong. And guess what? When you take a LEED certification, it says exactly the same thing, that you don't want to have half the house dark and half light, because by they mean energy heating and cooling energy. It's difficult to heat and cool the space. It's much easier that it's proportional. So I was stunned. It's like some things that I think completely line up with modern science somehow. So I believe we just grow and we'll learn more.
Yes. I just want to say thank you, because I know I have some kind of certificate I took too, and have to do about the architecture, the products, and the feng shui. And some clients say, they want this question, but this is what I say. You as an architect say, okay, I want to work in that. But thank you, you already answered.
Thank you. Sammy has a question here.
Hi, maybe it's a comment, but I want to tell you, thank you for your presentation. I was really touched because yesterday when they said they're going to talk about, you're going to do a presentation about architecture, I was, wow, what could be? And I was really surprised and happy because I'm working in an environment really against the well. So everything is against the well. They don't have any ergonomic things. The vendor machine is full of shit. You know, they clean with a product that horrible. Right. So really, it's a disaster. And that made me feel like, wow. It's not like I'm gonna go and request a change for everything, but I don't really want to be like passive about it. Right. And at least go for my area. I don't know. I last Friday I request a desk that I can work because I spend a lot of time sitting, and I request my boss if I can buy something like I can work standing up, and he said, yeah, look for it, and we'll see. So, but everything is kind of, you know, coming together, right. And I feel like I would like to say something. Do you have like something simple that I can show him? He's a pretty advanced guy, but I know the company is a new company. They are trying just to make money right now, but you never know. So.
Well, absolutely. You can. I think this would be published on YouTube, right? You can link to this presentation. That would be the best.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Great.
And a lot of other interesting information there.
Yeah, she's an engineer.
Oh, great.
Systems engineer, water engineer,
chemical
engineer.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, some of the companies they actually do all the buildings well certified, especially after COVID, to motivate people go back to the office. They do that across the entire portfolio of offices, some big corporations.
That's great. We have a question online
I
about.
also want to say something else. Yeah. Also, as I was saying, LEED is much older certification, and when I started working, it was about like 20 plus years ago. It was just in the beginning, probably in the same place where WELL is now. And people were like, oh, what is it? And who is going to spend money on this? And it was very like conservative. And, you know, year by year, it did grow into something big. And as I said, in California now, it's mandatory. Like you cannot not do certain things. It's incorporated in building codes. And I can see the same path for WELL. Right, it will happen. It's just our job, I think, to speak loud on the fact of anti-aging and prevention of anti-aging, and so those parameters would be in it before it gets to the courts and gets more incorporated.
Fantastic. We have a question online, and it was about tertiary architecture.
What?
Can you pull that up again? And lower. Keep going. There it is. Tartarian architecture? We don't know.
No.
Okay. Have you researched Tartarian architecture? Nope.
No,
okay.
I will get back to
Claudia
you.
has a question. Oh, Joe. And then.
Yes.
Hi. I've wondered about the single family home, which is such a stock standard architectural item in our culture. If it really actually isn't conducive to longevity in itself, like the concept of the single family home. And I wondered if you know anything about that, or if you thought about that, and if there's any of these, and then I think of these blue zones where people are living longer because of a greater sense of community, and if there's any thinking around that or any work being done around that, like maybe we need to rethink like the idea of the single family home as being like the basic unit of shelter.
Can I just drop a quick comment on that?
Okay.
I look up a lot of this too because I'm like a very novice architecture enthusiast, And I would love to hear your comments because I've seen that there are different cultures that do different buildings, like community buildings. And I wonder if you have, because I know that the blue zones, it's the community thing, but then there's also the Japanese and also the Spanish more recently are designing communities a lot different, way different than they are here.
Right. Well, I think traditional American, dream maybe 50 plus years ago, it was like husband, wife, and two children. And that's where 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home comes in, right? Because the assumption was that you buy it and children grow up, you sell it, that's your biggest investment, and so on. But now there's very small percentage of people live in these demographics. First, we live longer, kids grow up, they move out, not everybody married, people get divorced a lot, right? Some people have no children, have people who have 5 children. So this is no longer standard. Like, at that time, probably, I don't have numbers, but statistically, probably more than 50% of population lived in that setup, the 4 people in the house. Right now, I don't know, like, very marginal, right? So we need space that's flexible, that can be, okay, now I don't have money, I need to rent out someplace, right? Now I have all the parents, I need them to move in. Okay, now I got married and whatever, and we live 7 people in the house. Like, it's constantly changing, like through a lifetime. You need a space that's flexible, that's not set, that can be different things. It can be three studios, can be 1 5-bedroom homes, can be 1 studio to do artwork, all these things, right? And it's kind of I think the concept 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, it's outdated, period. It's just no longer applicable in modern world, but because real estate is so conservative, it's hard to move. And as I was mentioning before, my research project is that, okay, what's the ideal? How many hours we should socialize and where, and what kind of space needs to be for that social life?
Okay, Claudia?
Thank you for your presentation. Wonderful. So you kind of answered my question before, but just in case you have like more detail about it, how do you see the industry status on the permits for more organic housing? For example, there is, probably he was talking about that, the guy that I check online, more like earth housing, aircrete, so you don't need to have that insulation that is damaging you, that kind of building that you don't have permit to do it, really. It's very difficult. Do you have any status in how this can be really quickened in the future for people to build their houses in a more organic way?
Well, at least in California, because of earthquakes, it's everything about earthquake, and everything's supposed to be protected because nobody wants to take liability. And so basically, if you want to do anything with rammed earth or natural materials, you have to build it like it doesn't exist. Your structure, permit it, and then like your furniture, you add these items, you can, but you cannot rely on them structurally or in any other way. It's just some addition you built. But I hope with latest fires, because typically everything built in California is wood framing and it burns. So maybe the codes would change now after the fires, and there will be some kind of movement towards natural materials, I hope. We'll see.
Great. So we have time for 2 more questions. Oh, Kim has another question.
I actually just have a comment on the residential. I can tell you what's happening already. I have met architects who are designing what we call living symbiotically with Gaia. Those communities there's one in Tennessee being built now. There are plenty of entrepreneurs here in Arizona who are buying 5-acre parcels and building the 3D printed tiny homes on these larger lots, and no permits required. So just to answer that question, it is happening, and it's going to take more of us to build the business plan and present them and actually build the communities for other people to see so that they will do it too.
First, you want to see, let's see if anybody else online has any questions. No? Okay. So Julie, wow, thank you so much. Really, really beautiful. Great having you here. So what I understand is you're not working corporate anymore, so this is your business now that you're,
Yes.
okay, super. And are you doing both commercial? I wasn't real clear, commercial and residential, or just commercial?
Well, no,
It depends on the job. Go ahead. Go
so,
ahead.
sorry, I still consult to government agencies. I provide consulting service to the Los Angeles Airport and Los Angeles Metro right now. So it's my two big projects. And I have also few residential projects, like 2 houses and some additions. And, you know, I talk my clients into wellness as much as I can, but I would say it's more like my passion project is
Yeah.
the wellness part.
I like that wellness room idea. That's a great job. I mean, great idea. In fact, I was thinking about doing that to our home because we have extra rooms. Make one but yeah, sure. So then are you, I guess the question that I'm thinking about is because I see some real potential here as far as, and I think that's your interest too, is why you're speaking here.
Right.
And been at RadFest is actually get this word out more, get this energy, these concepts out more. So are you open to, like, if someone or we wanted you to do, like we're talking about doing a medical clinic here, a new one?
Yeah, of course.
You'd be able to help us with that and the wellness end of it. Because it's supposed to be about wellness. We want everything in there about wellness, right?
Right.
So,
Yes, yes.
so okay, well, we'll talk more. And are you going to be here for the day or are you?
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow, yeah.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. All right. We'll talk more then.
Okay, great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.